Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Monday, October 13th, 2025, and on my lonesome again this morning. Neil refused to come. Now, the reason you see behind me, it looks like it's a beautiful day, but in reality it's 2 degrees at the moment, hence the beanie. So I don't know what's happening, being it's mid-October and it's 2 degrees at about 7:30 in the morning. But just what a beautiful day it is here though. Absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, very, very chilly. So Neil came outside, stood there, had a look around, and then just ran back inside. I had a few numerous attempts to try and get him to come. We had a few false starts, but at the end of the day, he got to the gate and turned around and ran back the door, back inside into his bed. They don't make him like they used to these days. Nah, it's all good, the little fella. He can do what he wants to do. But anyway, the show must go on, mustn't it? So we'll get on this day before we get into the proceedings of the last 24 hours. Let's go back to 1967. Mexico's Vicente Saldivar knocked out British fighter Howard Winstone in the 12th round in Mexico City for the world featherweight title. In 1969, Cuba's Jose Napoles defeated the great American Emil Griffith on points in Los Angeles, California. That was for the world welterweight title. In 2009, just was half a dozen today. 2009 in Nottingham, England. Carl Froch, or Froch, however you might want to pronounce it, defended the world super middleweight title with a decision win over American Andre Durrell. I remember that fight, 2009, good fight. 2015, Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez defended the world flyweight title by knocking out Brian Valoria. I do remember that was 2015, yep, in the 9th round. The fight took place in New York. And last one also in 2015. I remember this one pretty well. Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, defended the world middleweight title with a knockout of, 8th round knockout of Canada's David Lemieux. And that fight also took place in New York. And the reason I remember it, I just remember that the hairdo that David Lemieux used to sport. It was bit of a really long comb over, and as the fight went on, of course, as it got wet, it started to go everywhere, but also the beating it was taking from Triple G just made the hair just fly around everywhere, especially the last bit when he was under the pump, and Triple G was just pouring on the pressure. Poor old David Lemieux, he's not only his head and hair and everything was flying everywhere, he was under the pump. Was David Lemieux. And a similar thing actually happened when he fought David Benavides a few years ago as well. He copped a few over the journey to David Lemieux. But that's what happened on this day in boxing history. All right, so what happened yesterday? Had a quick talk about the Dave Allen and Makhmadev fight. As I said yesterday, I just sort of saw the highlights. I didn't watch the full fight, although I would have had time after what happened in the Boots Ennis fight, but I didn't. I watched extended highlights, if you want to call it that, like a 15-minute extended package rather than a 6 or 7 minute package. That's the best I could do. And it was a pretty monotonous sort of win by Makhmadev. As I said yesterday, I don't think he's a real threat. I know he's already been sorted out by Cabell, hasn't he? So, but slow, cumbersome, not a lot of defence. I just don't see him as an elite fighter. So I don't see him as really giving a lot of the elite heavyweights a fight, if I'm being honest. Dave Allen, good fighter. No, actually, I'll take that back. Honest fighter. Just an honest fighter. Not much else. And he had a crack for 12 rounds, but really outclassed. And, just a workmanlike performance by Makhmadev. And I really don't, as I said, see him doing much going forward. But, he had his moments, Dave Allen. He had the referee, even though it was warranted, took 2 points away from Makhmadev to sort of try and square things up. But I think he won 1 round on one card, 2 rounds on another, and 3 rounds on another, and then you take in the points consideration. So that's what sort of made the scorecards look sort of semi-okay, I gather. But either way, so that was the fight. Not really much else to say. An honest performance by Dave Allen, a workmanlike performance by Mark Budev. Let's just call it a day at that. That's about all I can say. The other big fight, of course, yesterday, Jaron Boots Ennis with a first round demolition of is it Uisma? I'll just call him Lima. I think he'll be forgotten about pretty quickly anyway, to be honest. But just first round destruction. Now, a lot of people asking for opinions and all this sort of stuff. I don't know. I mean, it's one of those performances where you just don't know what to make of it. It was impressive, mate, no doubt about it. But I mean, Lima's credentials were sort of questioned in the lead up to the fight. I mean, he's a bit of a road warrior. He's only had the one loss. Southpaw, awkward, pretty tough. Was supposed to, if you listen to Eddie Hearn anyway, was supposed to give Boots Ennis a real test. But I could sort of tell right from the word go that, he looked the part. One thing that was noticeable was the size. Now, normally with Boots Ennis, when he gets in there with anyone, he looks huge, doesn't he? I mean, he rehydrates to probably 170 or even 175. Used to be from 147. So he always looked huge. Now, yesterday, that was probably the first thing I saw was he doesn't actually look massive against this guy, Lima. But one that was good thing, he still, again, it only went 2.5 minutes, so we can't get too much out of it. But it did look like he still had his foot speed, his hand speed, the crispness, I'll say, in his punches. So we still had that. The problem was he just didn't really have much else to sort of go against, did he? I mean, I don't know. Again, it only went 2.5 minutes, so it's hard to say. But look, the benefit, the good thing to come out of it was the finish, I thought. And actually, when he actually rocked Lima, I thought it was actually the other way around. I thought that, and this can be the case with Boots, he does tend to get caught sometimes coming in. And I thought he actually did get caught by Lima, but in the meantime, he landed a really good sort of short inside right uppercut that rocked Lima. And then, credit to him. He got him out of there. It was a brilliant finish by Boots. 2 knockdowns, and then the referee stopped it on the ropes. But I like the fact that once he got him hurt, he got him out of there. The flurry of punches at the end. A good stoppage also by the referee, I thought. But he got in there right at the right time. He gave Lima enough opportunity to fight back. Especially, I think the second knockdown, he looked like he was maybe looking to get in there, but gave him the benefit of the doubt. And the second knockdown was, I'm not sure it was actually from a flurry of punches. It was more like, well, not any particular punch landing. I think it was just a flurry that sort of caused him to go down. It gave him an extra, 8 to 9 seconds break, I suppose. And then the last flurry at the end, I think in there was a left hand that landed, got through the guard, and you can sort of see just for that split second, the body just sort of shut down, and the referee got in there straight away. So I thought that was really good. But yeah, for Boots, look, as I said, like the good flurry of punches, good finish. But again, I think it's almost impossible to take anything out of it, except to say that, Boots is going to be a force at 154. How much of a force we'll see once the level of opposition steps up. But I think that's the only thing I could probably take out of it yesterday. Everyone will take different things, but how do you take anything out of just someone who lands early and then just finishes the guy off quick, except for the fact that it's a good finish? So anyway, Eddie Hearn was quite excited though, wasn't he? He jumped in there and I think he was more excited than Boots Ennis, to be honest. I thought he was going to have a panic attack or something at one stage, Eddie Hearn. But look, he's got a right to be excited. His fighter, he's got some big fights coming ahead. He said in the interview afterwards, of course, they've got to put a microphone in front of Eddie. And he said that they're ready for, obviously, everyone at 154, the Virgil Ortiz fight. Then they're looking for 160, and he said, dare I say it, all the way up to 168. So I think the man they're after at 168 might be gone by the time they're ready to step up, unless Boots Ennis does a Crawford and actually jumps from 154, maybe fights Ortiz, and if he wins that, jumps straight to 168 and wants a crack at Crawford. I don't know, but I'm not sure we'll ever see that fight. To be honest with you, even from what I've seen from Boots, again, regardless of yesterday, even what we saw at 147, I think, I don't know, call me silly, I actually think it's a pretty comfortable fight for Terence Crawford. I don't think he'd have too much to worry about from Boots Ennis. Yes, he's got foot speed and hand speed and everything else, but I mean, Terence Crawford's just shown that he can just handle anything, especially if it was at that weight. So anyway, that's a fight that we're not even talking about at the moment because it's not even a possibility at the moment. We'll see. But yeah, as I said, Eddie Hearn talking about fighting all the big dogs, and especially Ortiz. He said he's had a meeting with Virgil Ortiz's promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, and that's the fight that they want, and it looks like we're going to get it in 2026. I've just got a few fights I'm going to go over in a minute. I know I can't believe I'm talking about it already, but the big fights of 2026, because again, we're in mid-October, so we have to start talking about these. I've got 10 fights there that are already looking like they're going to happen in 2026, and they're massive fights, and it's going to be awesome if they all come off, that is. But yeah, so Eddie, he just said, look, they've sat down with Oscar. They want the fight. Let's see, though, if, and I'm not sure it's sort of happened yet with the money involved. We've seen it with Zurdo Ramirez and Opetaia at the moment. Money demands can do weird and wonderful things. So let's just see if they've spoken about money for the fight yet. And then do we really get into who's at the top of the poster and all this sort of stuff? I mean, these are all the things that we've got to consider. It's probably one thing to sit down and say, can we make the fight? And both parties say, yes, we want to make the fight. But then there's sometimes just little things that can come in the way. It might be the purse split. Might be a simple thing like who walks out first, although I'm sure we can work that out. Normally, I think what they do in that instance, when you've got two stars on the same sort of level, you probably find that one has got the headline on the poster. The next one has to walk into the ring first, and then another one is someone gets introduced first. Someone might say to the other fighter, well, you take all three, but I want an extra $1 million or something like that. There's always negotiations, but the big one, I suppose, is the purses. What are they getting paid? Who's getting paid what? But by all accounts, it looks like both parties are keen on the fight. They want to make the fight. And I suppose the next question is who wins the fight. So I'm going to get that in a minute. I'm going to go to it now. Actually, one thing I saw before I get into my list here, and the list is the 10 big fights that already look like they're going to happen in 2026, which is, again, something to get excited about. I saw yesterday Chris Billam-Smith and Roman Frez, the German cruiserweight, were supposed to fight for the WBO interim cruiserweight title because, of course, Ramirez is out for probably another 6 to 8 months or whatever. And it went to purse bids and no one bid. So there you go. That's the level of appeal, I suppose, of Chris Billam-Smith, that his own promoter, which is Boxer, didn't put in a bid. I think the minimum bid was $300,000, and no one bid on the fight. So that's about how well he's going at the moment, Chris Billam-Smith. Why wouldn't he just take the Opetaia fight? Probably get paid $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, maybe even more, $700,000 if it's in England. They'll raise a lot more money. But he's going to fight Roman Frez, and they can't even get a purse bid for $300,000. But anyway, I just thought I'd mention that because I thought it was pretty funny. Anyway, on to the 10 biggest, well, not the biggest, just the 10 massive fights that are already locked in, seemingly, for 2026. And I'll tell you what, if these all come off, I mean, this year's been okay, but I don't think we've had a massive amount of massive fights, if that makes sense. Some good fights, but not massive fights. The ones they've got penciled in already, I think, are going to just, even if just these 10 big fights happen, they're going to make 2026 a bumper year. I'll go through them, no particular order. One of them has got an asterisk beside it, but anyway, we'll start through them. I mean, the biggest one is obviously, well, not the biggest one, the one I've just spoken about, Boots Ennis, Virgil Ortiz. As I said, it looks like it's going to happen in the first quarter of 2026. And if it does happen, it's a tough one. Who wins? Who wins and why? Look, I don't know. We won't go into predictions just yet. I'll just go through the fights anyway. Well, maybe I will. I would say early days, I would probably have Boots Ennis, yeah, Boots Ennis to win that fight. Even though Ortiz is a tough guy, he can punch, he's a good fighter, but I'm going to put the faith in Boots Ennis. It's probably one of those fights where you get the African-American, those slick fighters like a Boots Ennis against sort of plotting type of fighter in a Mexican like Vergil Ortiz. That's probably what I'm going to bring it down to. Nothing to do with races and that sort of stuff. I'm just talking about styles. It's the African-American style versus the Mexican style. And I just think that more often than not, the African-American style wins out over the Mexican style because of just the way the two styles mesh. So that's what I'm going to go for. And Boots Ennis is a very, very good fighter, as is Ortiz, but I would probably put my money on Boots Ennis at this stage. It could change. We'll wait and see what Ortiz looks like in his next fight against Lubin, and then we'll go from there. The other one, obviously Inoue and Nakatani, that's the big Japanese fight. That's sort of locked in already for the first probably quarter of 2026. You can't really go past Naoya Inoue, so I'd probably put my money on him. But if anyone's going to upset Inoue, it's Nakatani. But for now, we'll go with Inoue. The next one, this is a possible one they keep talking about, Fury and Joshua. The reason I've put it in there, no, it's not sort of locked in or anything like that, but the jungle drums are beating for me. Fury's being seen a little bit more. He looks in pretty good condition. Eddie Hearn's starting to talk about it. Joshua, neither one of them have fought this year. I've just got a feeling that this fight could happen. It mightn't be till maybe mid-2026, but I think it's going to happen. So if it does happen, obviously it's a massive fight. So I'll put that on the list, even though talks haven't begun. As I said, call it a gut feel, and those jungle drums that are sort of beating in the background, it's just getting slightly louder for me, so keep an eye on that one. Next one is the heavyweights is obviously Usyk and Parker, although I would definitely, as I said I think yesterday, I would prefer Otama, even though he's probably not quite ready. I just think 20 years of age, just have a crack, let's go. I think that would be an unbelievable fight, but I think the more logical one would be Usyk and Parker, probably mid-year, I would probably think. So that's the next big one that looks like it will happen. Of course, Dimitri Bivol, David Benavides. Now, I know we're all thinking maybe Bivol and Beterbiev, but not sure. I reckon we're going to get Bivol Benavides instead. I reckon that's the big light heavyweight fight of 2026. Although Beterbiev pulling out of his fights in a couple of months, or is it next month or this month, whatever it is, might say otherwise, but my gut feeling says it'll be Bivol Benavides maybe mid next year. I hope not. I hope Benavides goes up to cruiserweight and challenges Jai, but this one seems like it's going to be the one that'll happen. We'll see. Janibek and Lara is the middleweight fight that they're talking about being in. Well, they even talked about maybe being the end of this year, but the word is it could even be on the Pacquiao and Romero card in January. So if that's the case, what a fight that would be. So that's the middleweight, probably super fight. The other one, Stevenson-Lopez. Oh, what a mouth-watering fight this is. This is at 140. Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo Lopez I'm talking about. So that's the fight they're talking about in the first quarter of 2026 as well. The next one is, well, we keep talking about it, but Jai Bataya and Ramirez. Now the word is it's going to be probably mid next year. So it's another massive fight locked in. Well, not locked in, possibly being locked in, but you've got a feeling that that's the fight that they'll end up making, whether they have to bend on the purses and all that sort of stuff. But I think common sense will prevail, and we will end up getting that fight. As much as Ramirez doesn't want it, I think we'll get it. So that's number 8. Pacquiao Romero in January. Looks like it's going to happen. Big fight there. So, yeah, January 24th at the MGM, that looks like being. So that's another big fight locked in. And then the one with an asterisk for me, I'll put Crawford and Canelo too. Now, I suppose you could probably take either of these guys, no matter who they fight, whether it's Crawford versus someone or Canelo versus someone. That's going to be the 10th sort of big fight for 2024, no matter who they fight. At this stage, Crawford's saying that he wants $100 million to fight again, which is pretty bizarre to me. To think that, you know, the Canelo fight, well, they only got $50 million apparently against Canelo. Now he wants 100. I get it, as champion, he deserves to be paid. But the problem is, unless Canelo Alvarez is standing in the opposite corner, there's no way that Terence Crawford's getting paid $100 million. I mean, unless he fights who? Even if he fought a Benavides or Bivol or Bivol or Benavides, the big Bs at light heavyweight, or Janibek at middleweight, or Boots Ennis even moved up to 168. There's not $100 million in it for Terence Crawford. So I know they probably just throw the number out and then negotiate, but I don't see him getting anywhere near $100 million unless it's a Canelo rematch. Then I could quite easily see him saying, well, hey, I took 50 last time, he got 150. I don't think the fight would generate as much next time either, by the way. And if they share 200, I reckon that might be, they might only share 150 next time. And I think Terence Crawford would deserve to get 100. And although if Canelo only got 50, I reckon the best he could do against Canelo, there's 150 to split, would be 75 each. I think that's the best he could possibly do. Because at the end of the day, Canelo's still going to carry that fight, even though he lost the first one. So anyway, but that's the fight for me. And if Canelo against anyone is always a massive fight. So either one of those guys, it could be against each other, which is why it's got an asterisk, but either fighter against whoever is going to be a massive fight either way. So that's the 10 big fights. We'll quickly go through them again. These are the ones that look like they're definitely going to happen for 2026. Boots Ennis, Virgil Ortiz, Naoya Inoue, Junto Nakatani, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk, Joseph Parker, Dimitri Bivol, David Benavides, Janibek, Alan Canuli, Erizani Lara, Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo Lopez, Jai Pataya, Gilberto Ramirez, Manny Pacquiao, Rolly Romero, and the one with the asterisk, Terence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez 2. They're the fights that look like they're going to all happen in 2026. And as I said, if they do, wow, what a bumper 2026 is going to be. Awesome. And then, of course, there'll be probably another dozen big fights thrown on top of that along the journey. So if that's what 2026 has got to offer, then bring it on. All right, guys, that's probably going to do it for today. Hope you have an awesome Monday. We'll catch you tomorrow.